I'm gonna be honest. The two biggest problems I have when it comes to YouTube is finding the time to do so and coming up with clever openings. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make it simple. I've only ever played a large amount of the Hoshino Persona games. So that's 3, 4, 5, and right now Persona 3 Reload. While I've never put any more than like 5 minutes into the Kaneko Persona games. As what you would call a budding fan of the Megami Tensei franchise, I'm taking it upon myself to see firsthand what it has to offer, both good and bad. Also, as someone who started their journey into Megami Tensei with Persona 3 Portable, it's an absolute wonder that I haven't sat down and at least tried to play Megami Ibanroku Persona and the Persona 2 duology to the respective halfway points at the very least. And so that's what I'm doing. Two things first though. I'm not very far at all right now, so treat this as kind of a first impressions video of sorts. And secondly, my time to play these games is relatively short, so it'll be slow going between now and when I finally complete these games, if I do. So far, the two issues that I'm having are moderate nitpicks. They're not anything really to write home about when it comes to actual complaints of the game. If all I can do is nitpick at a game, then I think we're doing pretty well in that regard, because no game is perfect. There's bound to be a flaw somewhere that I pick up on that I'm just not fond of, and I guess right now we're just going to look at the flaws. But before that, I kind of imposed a bit of a challenge. That challenge is that I can only use a guide for negotiating with personas. There can't be any sort of walkthrough guide unless I am helplessly, completely stuck. Like I have no idea where else to turn. This is what we're doing. Why only a demon negotiation guide? Because demon negotiation in these earlier games kinda sucks. Which is in stark contrast to one of my favorite points of these games, which is Demon Fusion, which we'll cover in the next video. So, what is my problem with Persona 1 and 2? Well, Persona 1, 2, and Innocent Sin. I haven't touched Eternal Punishment yet, so that'll happen later, more than likely. Well, to answer that, I have to fill you in on how I classify games I play. Games to me fall into one of two categories. First off, weekend games. These games have fixed save points, are mission-based, or otherwise take large swaths of time between story points. Games that fall into this first category are games like Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, Persona 1, and the Devil May Cry series. The second category are games that I like to call anytime games. These games are games that give you the ability to save anywhere, or the fixed save points are done in such a way that I can go to a save point and continue immediately from where I left off. Games like this include Pokemon, Persona 3 Portable, and Star Ocean. You might be asking yourself, why Persona 3 Portable? Well, that's because for the most part I can just find a teleporter and go back to the start floor, save, and then go back to the floor I was on. And if there's not a teleporter on that floor, I can make a run for the stairs until there is a floor with a teleporter. Other such examples can include Final Fantasy, Cyberpunk 2077, and you get the idea. Games that I can save anywhere and continue where I left off. You might also argue that I can use save stating for the first Persona game, but this falls into the downside that I have with other save anywhere games, and that's that I tend to forget where I was with a save anywhere game unless I write down the exact story beats that I had just completed. Not to mention I'm playing these games on original hardware and not emulating them, thus the lack of clips supporting my arguments and the replacement of screenshots. So far in my playthrough of Persona 2 Innocent Sin, I'm not really having the problem of fixed save points, but then again I haven't made it further than the Seven Sisters High School. So I'm not exactly sure if saving in a dungeon remains to be a thing in the Persona 2 duology. I really hope it is. The only other real nitpick that I have when playing these early games is the fact that battle animations take a really long time to go through. I find myself mashing the shit out of the X button trying to skip the animation to progress through the battle. And I can understand the point of having these long battle animations. It's supposed to showcase, hey, this is in the time that it was created, hey, this is the PS1 and what it can do. Right now I'm playing through, like I said, the PSP remakes of these, but either which way the point still stands. The battle animations are just as long now as they were back then, and it really does make things feel very slow. However, in OG Persona, I do like that they kept the first-person dungeon crawling mechanics. Yeah, first-person, anyway. The first-person dungeon crawling mechanics, I really thoroughly enjoyed those, especially in a full 3D environment, and I kinda wish they would have carried that over to Persona 2. I'm pretty fond of first-person tile-based dungeon crawling, but it's not really enough of a detriment for me to quit playing the second game entirely. Otherwise, I really am enjoying Persona 1 and 2. I mean, beat for beat, it's got what I like from the Shin Megami Tensei series and the Persona games as a whole. Its narrative is nice and gritty and dark, and, you know, from a storyline perspective, I really don't have much in the way of complaints. But that's going to be about it because, like I said, I'm not really all that far into these games at all. Maybe I'll post an update once I've gotten a bit further in these games. I mean, that all depends on if there's enough interest garnered in how I feel about these games for me to post an update. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know it was a smaller video, and this is going to be a little bit of a trend for a little while. I have a whole bunch of stuff on the back burner, like the Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse video that I was writing. That turned into a long form video very quick because I'm almost done with it. Next video is going to be short as well because it's zeroing in on Demon Fusion and those mechanics and why I like those. But for now, like I said, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and, click the like button and click the subscribe and the bell. I'm sure you've heard all of this from other YouTubers, but it really does help me out. For now, I'll see you guys later.